And finally, reports of a strange new ship appearing in neutral space appear to be... seem to be having an issue with our computers again. Jerry? Hey Jerry, do you know what's... Why is my screen saying Borg? What's a...
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to serve as us. Resistance is futile.
Welcome to ROGN, the Rogue Squadron News Network. I'm Lostpinky, back with the latest news in independent space. In this month's news, who are the Borg? The mysterious new threat to all factions in this part of the galaxy. In this special series, we detail the events that led to ROGN HQ being attacked by Borg forces. March in review, including the wins continue for Rogue Squadron as the Alliance dominates another month of galactic events. If you are part of HOM, you are not safe. So why do independents think forging agreements with HOM will work out? And ROGN HQ under fire again, but all is not lost. But up first. The end of our last broadcast was interrupted by Borg nanites infecting our computer system and the approach of Borg forces to ROGN HQ. For the last several months, ROGN reporters have been travelling around the galaxy following the news of a strange new species encroaching on the major factions and independent space. The quest began with the arrival of a scout ship crashing on a planet in the Ajalon system. Shortly after, a scientist by the name of Dalen discovered the crash and salvaged several pieces of the wreckage, as well as recovering a survivor. Upon leaving the planet, Dalen's ship came under fire from Corvallan pirates. Dalen's distress signal alerted ROGN to the situation. Arriving in Narendra, ROGN Reporter 4 quickly closed in on the ship in distress. Several Corvallan vessels were in close pursuit of Dalen and his mysterious cargo. While at this stage still unknown to ROGN Reporter 4, Dalen's cargo would lead to a story that would require several months to investigate. Dalen was cautious at first, but after briefly explaining the situation, he set ROGN Reporter 4 off to destroy the pursuers. Little is known about the Corvallan people. They operate in both the Alpha and Beta quadrants, usually as mercenaries for the highest bidder. Once contacted by ROGN Reporter 4 to determine if there could be a peaceful way to solve the situation, the Corvallans responded arrogantly. With one final warning to stand down by Mayor, the Corvallans focused their attack on Reporter 4. Fortunately, the Intrepid-class battleship ROGN fielded that day had been recently upgraded for operations in dark space and was more than a match for the Corvallan squadron. ROGN Reporter 4 was unable to determine the reason for the Corvallans to be hunting Dalen at that time. Some recently recruited members of HOM are attempting to rewrite history, declaring that HOM not only did not declare war on the entire galaxy, they only declared war on Rogue. This contradicts the fact that HOM's leader withdrew from all agreements in order to wage war against the entire galaxy. However, how can you trust a leader who jumps out of the Alliance just to hit you? Or, for that matter, an Alliance who make the following proclamation.
It was very difficult for a member of HOM to go and do this event because we go out, we burn the galaxy, we have no rules, burn it all, that's our motto. There's nothing going to change on that anytime soon. There it is. Shout out to Taz, our leader there, our admiral.
And then the next day, Phil returns to HOM, being made the leader once again. Clearly there is something strange going on with HOM, as shortly after, Morgan was out of the Alliance. March saw the continuation of the winning streak for Rogue Squadron participating in galactic competitions. This month, most of the events were managed by the Orion Syndicate, who offered generous prizes to the Alliance in first place. Rogue Squadron members continued to contribute significant effort to winning these events, and the news is that the leaders of Rogue are extremely thankful to all members for their support. With 12 out of the top 20 most powerful independents a part of Rogue, it appears that a great team effort is building amongst all members. This allows for the most powerful members of the Alliance to take a break without impacting the Alliance event performance. Unfortunately, March was not another all-out win, as by stardate 20/20/03/15, not all members of Rogue had access to the newly discovered Borg space. This allowed Home to take the lead in hunting the dreaded cybernetic aliens. However, that lead was quickly diminished over the following days. All up, out of the 20 events held this month, Rogue won 19, with Home winning 1. Awesome effort to all members of... apologies, we interrupt this report to bring news of another Home spy has been ejected from Rogue. After analysis of the event participation, Rogue member Chicken Sausages was found to not be contributing to multiple events. After Rogue leaders posted notice to members of the need to participate in events and be active, Chicken Sausages was ejected from Rogue. Reports the following day came in indicating Chicken Sausages had rejoined the Home insurgents. This is just another indication of the deception and dishonour the Home insurgency employ in their attempts to subjugate the galaxy. Is it any wonder, given the lies and deception, why Rogue would not enter into any new agreement with Home? Deploying spies to other alliances, ejecting their own members, some of whom have been the most vocal about promoting their alliance, and jumping out of their own alliance to drain their own members? These are not the acts of a trustworthy group of independents. In other news, recently ROGN were contacted by a member of HOM in an effort to educate us on the pronunciation of their name. To ensure we had the correct pronunciation this time, we referred to the Universal Translator. Looking up Klingon, being the House of Martok's native language, we found that HOM actually means runt in Klingon. We did some further checking and discovered that it indeed means runt, or weakling, scrawny one. So from now on, we will refer to HOM as the Scrawny Runts. Thanks to the Scrawny Runt Psychosis for correcting us on our pronunciation. We return now to the progress of ROGN Reporter 4 on its journey to aid the cybernetic scientist known as Dalen. It seems Dalen had discovered a distress beacon on the world of Ajalon Prime, and upon landing on the planet, he discovered the wreckage of a ship belonging to what would later become known as the Borg. The Covalans put up a good fight, but were ultimately no match for ROGN Reporter 4. Since this incident, ROGN has been attempting to ascertain the reason for the Covalans to target Dalen. Our side investigation has resulted in the discovery of several incidents in Dalen's past acquiring technology through the use of Covalan mercenaries. It appears his dealings resulted in a large amount of money being owed to the group, which to this day goes unpaid. Upon returning to Ajalon Prime, after dealing with the Covalans, ROGN Reporter 4 was contacted by another vessel. Expecting another fight, the commander was cautious, but allowed the onboard version of Maya to handle contact. Not wanting to reveal any identifying information at first, Maya simply informed the incoming vessel of the intent to salvage the wreckage, which Reporter 4 had been forced to abandon earlier. Unfortunately, at this point, the wreckage had already been recovered by other parties prior to their return to the planet. The alien, now known as Quinton, had managed to recover some of the debris but was unwilling to part with it, without some form of compensation. Quinton sent Reporter 4 on a quest to deal with a Federation ship patrolling the Gemmet system. It seems Quinton's operations were not exactly in line with Federation law, and he had become the target of the ship's commanding officer, Captain Farrell. ROGN Reporter 4 plotted a course for Gemmet, and a few days later arrived in the system to find Captain Farrell's vessel patrolling near the world of Mapok. Upon contact, Maya conveyed the warning message ROGN had been asked to provide, and Captain Farrell's response was unexpected for a Starfleet officer. Counter-demanding that ROGN Reporter 4 drop shields and prepare to be boarded only resulted in the ROGN vessel entering a ready state for battle. Reporter 4 pinpointed the exact location of Captain Farrell's Sladen-class vessel and quickly intercepted the ship before they could react. The Explorer-class Klingon Burrell, which Reporter 4 was running, easily overwhelmed the Federation Sladen-class vessel, disabling it within seconds. Having achieved their objective, the ROGN commander decided it was not required to destroy Captain Farrell's ship. This warning had been delivered swiftly. If the captain was going to cause any issues, then it would not be ROGN who suffered. Instead, Reporter 4 set course back to meet up with Quinton in the Soranel system. After a few days in warp, ROGN Reporter 4 entered the system, equally distant from both the Federation and the Romulan territories. The Burrell-class vessel Reporter 4 was running for the mission had been through a lot, and was in dire need of a dry dock for repairs and upgrades. As the ship entered the system, the commander decided to sneak through the asteroid belt on the way to Bosvenar. Interestingly, Reporter 4 detected UE pirate battleships hiding in the asteroids. It appeared Reporter 4 was not an easy target for them, so the pirates did not attempt to attack. Exiting the asteroid belt, Reporter 4 made a quick beeline for Bosvenar and quietly entered orbit without any issue. They hailed Quinton and got straight to business. Quinton handed over the scrap after confirming the issue with Captain Farrell had been dealt with. Reporter 4 then set course to return to Dalen and delivered the scrap for analysis. Meanwhile, towards the end of the month, ROGN engineers were performing routine maintenance on the shield system of ROGN HQ when the unexpected happened. Battle logs show an armada of home insurgents transwarped to their stations in orbit of the planet Usoi in the Jisui system, where HQ had stopped in orbit in order to perform the maintenance. The battle lasted just over an hour, but in that time, millions in resources were once again stolen from ROGN. This time, however, comments in open galactic subspace channels by the runts indicated that there was potentially another reason for the shields to stay down. ROGN Command had stored millions in resources safely with trusted Uridian information brokers. After receiving a shipment of these stored resources, ROGN Command deployed scouting parties to search for home insurgents, open to returning the resources stolen. Fortunately, it did not take long to find some open targets. Rogue Squadron forces scoured the galaxy for the unshielded runts and discovered multiple ripe for raiding. The search brought ROGN to the Xerxes system, where 2 runts were orbiting the planets of Zekagog and Zogek. HOM's Maca-Oz was the first target. Having confirmed the base shield was staying down, Rogue's Jimbob 4582 proceeded to clear out all the station defences and then sounded the alert for other Rogue members to join. The raid on the station of Maca-Oz allowed ROGN to recover several million in dilithium and a little bit of tritanium. However, the better score occurred further north in the system, around the planet of Zogek, where the runt known as Billy sat unprotected in orbit. Billy's base contained a great deal more res, and ROGN were able to recover 10 million in parasteel, more tritanium, and more dilithium. This was a great start to the month of April, with more bases belonging to the runts raided throughout. Coverage of these raids will be broadcast over the coming week, so stay tuned to this channel by hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon to receive notifications. If you like our coverage of the events, changing the galaxy as we know it, then smash that like button. While we continue to broadcast the footage of the raids in Xerxes, we will return to the story of Dalen and the strange cybernetic aliens he had discovered. Reporter 4 followed the story into Romulan space to the system of Draken. Here, the ship docked at the Valdor outpost to see if they could procure the supplies Dalen required. Even with the reputation ROGN had established with the major factions, the Romulans rarely tolerate incursions into their space. Maya chose to appeal to the Romulan ego in the hopes of gaining their assistance in acquiring certain technologies. The commander of the station, a Romulan known as Seldane, scoffed at the thought of ROGN conducting our own research into cybernetics at first. Understanding that there was nothing for the Empire to gain from this exchange, Maya openly stated we were not there to help the Empire. We were there to further the science and technology of cybernetics. As this was an endeavour that may or may not bear fruit, Maya offered to pay for the items required instead. Reporter 4 transmitted the list of required resources, including a cortical stimulator, a medicine the Federation had recently been working with on a new application called quadrazine, as well as various computer and laboratory supplies. Later, during an interview, Seldane recalled the events. The Romulan chuckled to himself after reading the list and noting the quadrazine. Raiding a Federation medical station would be a great target, especially at this point in the war, to slow the Federation war efforts close to the Romulan border in the Tharma system. A strike on Bajem would achieve the desired outcome. Seldane was about to suggest that ROGN Reporter 4 perform the strike on Bajem by themselves, when the commander decided to offer services in exchange for the items. After scanning the Burrell-class Explorer, which Reporter 4 was running, it seemed to the Romulan commander that this would be the perfect target. Blame the Klingons for the hit on Bajem, and the Federation would redouble their efforts against the Klingon Empire. A flicker of recollection had hit Seldane. How can the Klingons and Federation be fighting with the Organians enforcing the Treaty of Organia? He had thought to himself. Then he remembered the neutral zone the Organians had established did not encompass all Federation and Klingon space. If each side did not feel military in the protected zone, the Organians would not act. This was why so many independents were now crossing the borders of all the factions. However, a light on his console flashed, and he received a message to direct the Independent to the pursuit of a rogue subcommander by the name of Velaka. Reporter 4 was tasked with finding Velaka in the Rana Bur system, and destroying his ship. Reporting back to Sildane, he indicated the transaction was finalized and that the items required would be delivered at a later time. With no other options available, Reporter 4 returned home to ROGN HQ to discuss the latest developments with Dalen. However, Dalen had recently left ROGN HQ to procure a different list of items. This quest brought the scientists to Quella 9. Upon making contact with Dalen, Reporter 4 conveyed the updates, and Dalen replied with skepticism that the Romulans would uphold their bargain. Privately, during an interview I conducted with Dalen, he had indicated he had previously encountered the Romulans, and they were often unpredictable in their outcomes due to the fluidity of those in charge. I didn't pry any further during the interview, but we can assume he was referring to the Tal Shiar removing members of Romulan society without notice. This mistrust and fear resulted in the Empire's development progressing significantly slower than the other great powers around them, despite the fact they had been a spacefaring species for thousands of years. Dalen tasked ROGN to retrieve more cybernetic fragments. Recently, long-range scans had indicated some unusual activity in the Klingon territory near the Yado system. Apparently, Dalen's technology had been tuned to detect signals from this cybernetic alien during his study of it, and by chance he decided to hook the gear up to the long-range sensors to see what he could find. While on Quella 9, he was also setting up a signal relay to see how far into deep space he could push the scanners. ROGN Reporter 4 returned to HQ to resupply before setting course for Yado. Catch us next time as we continue this series on the strange new cybernetic species and the ongoing wars between the major factions, as well as more from the front lines of the Rogue Home War in independent space. However, before we leave you today, we would like to present all Rogue Squadron members with the following message. Thanks for watching. I'm Lostpinky, and this has been ROGN, the Rogue Squadron News Network.